Is my goal in my life to make as much money as possible, or is my goal to be happy?
Everyone's saying, oh, start this side hustle and you'll be making 10K in no time and you have to do 1 hour of work a week.
See it everywhere.
It's such cap, bro. No one is doing that.
Someone's got the better car than you, the better house, the better life, the better girl, the better this, better that. It's not real.
I'm always a culprit of this. No one has it.
I felt like I should be making $1 million. I felt like I was the man.
You know why they say that? It's because in their experience, they've never experienced something greater than that.
78% go
That's
broke
crazy.
within 2
Massive,
years after
massive.
making millions every year.
Don't listen to 99% of people in Australia.
All right, boys, another episode. I'm very excited.
You guys may be wondering why we are dressed in suits today, though.
You're all looking fresh.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. We tried to get up to your standard for once.
Yeah, for once.
Look,
for
you
once.
can always try. But where are your suits from?
We went to YD and we got these suits, and I feel like we have definitely we're looking the part now.
They've definitely stepped up our game.
Honestly.
Well, your game.
I'm feeling
Anyways,
fresh.
in today's episode, guys, we're gonna be talking about certain mistakes all of us three boys have made when it comes to money.
Yeah.
Big topic.
So I guess like some lessons that you guys can learn from us that have prevented us or have been roadblocks for us in, attaining money, being successful, finding financial freedom.
100%.
Yeah, and I think we all have interesting stories as well, and we come from different backgrounds. So, I mean, to kick things off, what's one negative habit that you guys have experienced or you know of in society that really contributes to people losing money?
I think like going with today's modern age and I guess young people in general, I think one of the main things or one of the things troubling youth is gambling.
Yeah. That's for the
Gambling.
boys.
I think it's
Yeah.
definitely more for the boys, right?
It's very thrill-seeking.
So
What's the appeal? Why do we think gambling is such a tough thing to crack, and why so many people, especially in Australia, everyone loves it, bro. All my mates betting every week.
I think first of all, ease of access. So nowadays, on your phone, you can download a sporting app. There's heaps, right?
Yeah.
And you literally just
click of a
connect your
button.
account and you can start gambling.
And the earning potentials are pretty significant as well if you do it right.
Yeah. So obviously that's one angle. Also, I think it's the statistic is every 100 meters in Sydney City, there's a bar or a club or a pub
Wow.
that you can find poker machines.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I think every 100 meters, right? That is way too many places.
Yeah,
that is everywhere you look, you can find one. So I think ease of access is one.
And they're advertising these days.
Well, they had
it's
to
so
actually-
stimulating.
They actually had to get rid of every pub and club in the city.
Yeah.
In
But
Sydney.
even on TV, on the footy and things, all
Sports
these companies
bet,
are
yeah.
bet. And bro, the ads are so good.
They are. They make
so
it seem
appealing.
like it's impossible to
Yeah.
lose.
But why do we think like gambling is so addicting? Like it's okay, one thing ease for access,
Addictive.
but what's like what makes it so compelling and people can't stop? Like what about it?
I'm not a gambler. I've actually never gambled in my life, but I think it's the dopamine hit that you get. Not just like, think about you're on TikTok, right? You're scrolling, there's like instant dopamine just hitting your brain at like every single millisecond as you swipe. I almost think it's the same with the pokies, but there's another value to it where if you swipe on the right thing, you get paid.
Apparently the same neurological response of gambling. So when you press the button and you're waiting for a feature or to win some money, is actually the same when you refresh your Instagram or your Facebook or your
Really?
TikTok.
Really?
So when you refresh to see if you've got likes or follows or anything, that same dopamine effect is actually the same when gambling.
Yeah.
So it's the anticipation to win, to get followers, to be validated.
I don't
so
doubt that.
And I think we saw it's also similar to drugs as well.
Yeah. So we were looking at this a bit before because we wanted to unpack like what's the addicting nature of gambling, and what they were actually saying is that the dopamine release that happens in your brain when you win is actually at the same level when you're anticipating a big win. So that feeling of like, I could potentially win thousands and thousands of dollars from this, in your brain, you're
same.
actually feeling as if you've already won.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that anticipation
scary.
of potential massive wins is highly addicting. On top of that, if it's high stakes betting, you feel like you've got some skin in the game, you could potentially win or lose a lot of money. It actually releases adrenaline as well. So you're running off a high level of adrenaline, I think spikes your cortisol, and you have dopamine all at the same time. And a crazy stat that I was looking at is actually it mirrors the mental effect of like skydiving or taking like 8 or 9 cups of coffee in a row.
Wow.
Don't you think it's sad though? Because like in the sense of gambling, obviously people want to, make money in, many different ways, but it kind of goes against the natural, I guess, nature of men inherently, because we all want to like build something, we all want to work towards something in the future, and gambling almost puts a spin on that to the point where you don't have to do anything and you still get the reward potentially.
It's to acquire wealth in a fast way.
In a fast way without doing the reps essentially.
Everyone wants that these days. Even on social media, there's
everything needs to be
people pushing
fast. Yeah. And I think it is sad though, because you do see guys that, and I actually had a family member that was a chronic gambler, and he used to, not be a very good person half the time. And you also see people that have gone to the pokies, had some big wins and then lost it all and end up doing things like, unaliving themselves as a result. It's very, very detrimental.
I think definitely knowing that when you're in too deep, like when I'm not commending or saying it's okay, but I think, once a couple times a year, if you're with your friends and you put $50 in or $20 in, I don't think it's necessarily an addiction and it's going to affect your overall life.
Because the reality is, bro, like it's actually fun. Like I've done it. It's pretty, like the reason all the boys get around it is like you got bets on, all your boys are sitting around. And it's thrilling and it makes it so much
we
more
had
fun.
a bet going on.
But every element of like, say, a poker machine, the sound, right? The sound, the lights, the noises, even the air in the casinos.
Yeah.
Everything is like orchestrated for you to enjoy your time and have fun.
Don't they pump more oxygen in Star City
I've
you can stay awake for longer?
I have heard that.
No
I don't know if
windows,
it's official, but
all those
I've heard that.
Yeah.
And so even funnily enough, even the carpet in the casinos is just a random, it's just a random pattern, so that when you're gambling, your eyes aren't distracted. You're not going to go like, follow the carpet and get distracted and not want to play.
Wow.
Everything is positioned that you don't get distracted.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
And I
crazy.
find it crazy because I think we're kind of conditioned from a young age, right? So like I took my niece to Time Zone yesterday,
Yeah.
and she was having the time of her life, right?
So what's time zone for people who don't know?
But Time Zone is essentially just a kids gaming arcade,
Arcade,
right?
yeah.
But when you go there, you're spending real money to essentially win tickets or a prize. So it kind of is like a entry level into eventually wanting to go into gambling.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
that's
every
actually
kid's going to
true,
become a gambler, but I'm just saying that satisfaction of paying and winning something is the same as gambling.
Yeah, it's all
so I
conditioning.
guess you've got to be careful of that as well from a young age, to be careful that your kids, don't obsess over that gaming satisfaction, quick win culture.
I think another big reason why people love the gambling side of things is most people live a life where their earning potential is capped, right? But gambling opens up a spectrum of uncapped earning potential. It's almost like
Very true.
you can input a certain amount and win 10, 100, 200x the return, which isn't available to 95% of people in the world, because you got your salary, you spend an hour, you get this much money. But the potential upside is so thrilling, because it's like, it draws you in, because you're like, I could potentially, this is why lottery makes billions of dollars, because of that, that small, look at LMCT Plus.
1%,
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
0.1% chance that you could be a millionaire is enough for
Is
you
enough.
to weekly have a subscription to, $50, $60 potentially to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why should people like stay away from gambling, do we think? Like,
I think if someone has security in their job and they spend the time on their job as opposed to trying to win a certain amount of money, and I know it's easier said than done. We've all gambled, we've all had fun with it. But I think if you feel secure enough in your job that it's going to be supporting you, and that you have a vision to potentially make more money and have different avenues of income, then you will be less dependent on this potential lottery win that you could win.
yeah, if you see it as a means to earn a big amount of money as opposed to a means of just to have a bit of fun, then that's where you fall into the
It's the
trap.
psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Are you trying to...
But it's so addicting. That's what you got to be careful of. Like, if you get this is what I see with people. If you get a big win, like in your first few rounds of trying,
You're screwed.
good luck.
Because you think it's going to happen every time.
yeah.
Yeah, so obviously we're talking about, mistakes that we've personally made. I personally don't gamble. Like, I never really have. I've never actually been interested in, if I'm honest with you. A lot of my mates do, and that's okay. But like personally, I haven't. But
Yeah, why?
have
It's
you
a good
guys?
perspective though, because
Of course.
you're one of the few that hasn't, and
Yeah.
you've actually spent that time and money putting it into your business, and
Yeah.
you found success.
Yeah, I think the reason I don't is because like, firstly, I don't understand it. That's the first thing.
It's a
But I
good
think
thing.
if I did, I almost prevent myself from understanding it because I think that if I did, there's more likelihood that I will indulge in something like that if I knew how to play it right. But I think the second thing for me is the reason I don't want to indulge in that and I have no interest is because, you know, my career is, you know, it's very profitable. I'm in the social media industry, which is really fun for me. And I genuinely just love my job.
Yeah.
Like I want to build my career as much as I can to the point where, you know, I can make money, which I am off that instead of anything else. Of course, I have different investments and that sort of thing as well. However, I think the gambling side of things has never appealed to me because I'm so focused and laser zoned into to my one thing.
Yeah, but this is our advice for you guys on how like you're thinking about this from a return on capital perspective, right? Like to a degree, every dollar that you would have put into gambling is a dollar that you can't put into fueling your business where you could get 100, 200, 3x returns. And it's actually like almost guaranteed because if you're scaling a business, it's a lot more predictable than a luck of the draw. So it's almost like deterring your attention away from actually you've built a machine now where you can put money in and almost guarantee it out.
Yeah.
You've built a system. So like that whole mindset, if you can shift, like obviously building an empire and a large business that has a predictable return, is hard to do. But if you can get to that point, there's no need for gambling. Honestly.
Have you guys ever, you know, encountered any gambling issues in your lives?
I haven't encountered issues, but I do find it makes watching sport a lot more enjoyable. Like putting a bit of a bet on.
So do you
on
place
the footy.
bets?
Yeah, low level bets. So like nothing
Yeah.
that I go into it saying like if I lose this money, I don't care.
What's
think that's
the biggest you've ever put down?
Sorry, before you say that, I think that what you said is an important point. When you gamble, you need to know that this money's gone.
Yeah.
You like if you're putting 10 or 50 or 100, whatever it is, you're going into that knowing that I'm completely fine losing this money. It's not my last $100 that I have to my name. It's not my house that I've put on. It's $100 that I am expecting to lose. If I win, great, it's a bonus. But if you go in the intention like I need to win because I need this money, and if I don't have this money, I'm not going to eat tomorrow. That's not the way. It's got to be what you said, Bayley, knowing that I'm very, very likely going to lose this money, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's good advice.
But back to your question, Jamie, you asked Bayley, what's the most
nothing
he's ever
crazy,
won?
like a couple hundred, nothing.
What about you, Chris?
Similar, yeah.
Couple hundred?
No, are we saying how much
Couple
we
hundred.
won or?
I don't know. Like, has there ever been a time where you've gambled too hard and you've regretted it?
No, never like that, honestly.
I think Jamie's path is the best. If you can push that capital into a way where you can guarantee a return, you'll be much better off in the long term. And like, not even consider gambling a revenue stream because realistically, like, it's not sustainable unless you're participating.
Yeah.
So look in other avenues.
All right, you guys, want to give a massive shout out to YD for sponsoring the locker room. If you guys ever need to be looking fresh for an event or a formal anywhere in the world, these guys definitely have the hookup. They also have personalized tailors that can fit your suit custom made for your individual body type, so there's no need to even think about styling yourself in the future. And if you guys want to be looking as fresh as we do out here right now, make sure to go to the link in the description where you can find all the details on how to see how YD can help you change your look for the better. Let's go.
Now, speaking of other things that can also derail your financial success, there's something called shiny object syndrome that we always talk about amongst ourselves.
Yeah, this is a big one, I think, especially with the age of social media, and a lot of people get caught up. So essentially it is where you're focused on one thing, you're passionate about it, whether it's a business or a hobby or a sport you're pursuing, and you always jump depending on the trends.
Bro,
So let's say
so true.
this year you're focused on building, let's say, for example, an agency. You're focused on that. This is your thing. And then, the AI trend's popping off. I reckon I can make some money in AI. And then I'm going to start an AI
drop
business.
shipping.
Or I'm going to go to drop shipping.
Bro, you don't understand
And
how much...
you're jumping from ship to ship purely based on you're seeing money opportunities, and you never stick something out and build something of real enterprise value because you're just getting distracted.
I think we've all been...
Bro.
We've been culprits to this.
I talk about this
we've all been
with Nick
culprits
all
of
the
this.
time as well because there's so many opportunities everywhere. And how do you actually, remain focused when the world's always, changing and evolving? And as you said, Bailey, like AI is a good thing to invest in, but how do you make sure you're still sticking to that one thing that is your foundation?
Yeah. So how do you implement not getting distracted by this in your business?
Bro, it's so hard, Like for me, I obviously have my content business where we do documentaries, but I made sure that the things that I'm also investing in revolve around essentially the same pillar. So for example, I make YouTube videos. I want to make sure that everything else I'm working on is in that same space. So now I have a social media agency, I have a social media course, we have this podcast obviously, and I do some property stuff. So the property stuff is probably the most far-fetched out of them all, but I try and keep everything running in parallel to each other, whereas
It's still related.
It's related. So if I learn something related to my documentaries, it probably applies to my agency because then I can teach that to other people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people I see, and it's so difficult in this day and age because
very
you got drop shipping, you got, all these other things. You've got like AI, you had NFTs back in the day, crypto.
Short form content.
Short form, long form. It's just, you don't know what to do. So what we do is we just keep the focus very narrow because you'd rather be a master of one thing than a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So would you say to the people watching at home, find something that you enjoy, that you can see longevity in? So for example, if you find an agency or say it's a social media career or dropshipping or whatever it is, have a look at the 10-year or 20-year or 30-year longevity or life expectancy and see, is this going to be relevant in 20, 30 years? If you do see that there's potential for consistent business, then I think hone in on that. Keep that as your single vessel. And then from there, you can, if you get an extra few hours that you want to dabble in something, maybe you can, but your core has to be one thing and stick to it. Or are you thinking more, how do I relate AI to my vessel?
Bro, I think it's a really important question to yourself, and it's very personal. You have to think to yourself, is my goal in my life to make as much money as possible, or is my goal to be happy?
Yeah.
I think they're two different strategies. If you go for as much money as possible, then you're going to be more focused on the things that will have longevity, but also, more importantly, the things that you're good at. You might be an amazing carpenter, for example, and you can create an amazing business in that, but you don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy that, but you're good at it, what's going to be the difference between you deciding to do that thing or not? It depends on what your aims are, right? Some people are happy earning 100K a year, and that's fine. You might be happy just doing something that you're average at and earning that as your cap. But then others want to sort of build maybe generational wealth. So they go for things that are both scalable, but they're also very talented at that they might not necessarily like doing. It's a very different mindset.
Yeah, it's a good point. And honestly, I think this topic ties into the gambling, because what I see a lot of young guys get caught up with these days is the two mindsets where they go into it purely for the upside revenue, like money potential in a very short period of time. It's quite easy to fall into this trap because of everyone on social media. Everyone's saying, oh, I'll start this side hustle and you'll be making 10K in no time and you have to do 1 hour of work a week.
See it everywhere.
It's such cap, bro. No one is doing that. If you're building something of enterprise value that's big and that has adds value to the economy, that takes a lot of time to build and a targeted effort and very niche focus.
But I'm going to challenge that thought. Do you think it's all cap? Because there are literally opportunities out there, such as maybe you're referring to something else, but those TikTokers that say, I make 30K a month from my bedroom just reposting videos.
Yeah, but the thing they make the money from is telling you how to do it. They don't make the money from the thing. They make the money from telling people how to make the thing.
And they make it seem that it's so believable. But I reckon those people that are at the... First of all, I think you have to be at the beginning. For these guys, they would have got in at the beginning and they would have put the freaking work in.
Yeah.
They don't tell you about all the work that they put in for months and years to build that business, to now just flog off videos and say, this is how easy it is. They have the whole instrument. They have all the foundations and now it's very easy for them. So you're going in, young kids saying, oh, this guy's saying I can do it in a day, 1 day a week work, and I'm gonna be the same level as him. That's not the reality.
Yeah.
You can't. And he didn't do that either. I'm sure there's a 1% that have been very lucky, everything's worked out, they got in at the right time, and they've made a lot of money. But for the other 99%, it's very unlikely.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying that, like, I see, I'm someone that, like, I'm very well aware of things being scams, but I'm also not the first to label someone as a scam. Because I think if you do that, you should always have a very inquisitive and logical mindset around things that you see online, right? If some kid's saying, I make 30K a month from being in my bedroom, of course, he would have had to build up to that. But I also don't instantly discount someone based upon
No,
what
of
they say.
course.
For example, Nick knows this. I'm a big fan of mentors. I have the philosophy where I don't want to spend 5 to 10 years trying something by myself for the hope I actually make it in the end. I want to, if I'm doing a course, I want to have a mentor for that. And I have mentors for everything. The reason being is that I'm taking a risk by spending money out of my own pocket, paying this person to teach me things.
But mentors is different, I think.
Yes, but things that people claim they've actually done.
Yeah.
But
If
have-
I saw someone that had done like a course, for example, a very successful course, and they advertise in the same way in which these TikTokers have, I would firstly do my research to make sure it is legit. But my point is, I'm not gonna like instantly discount someone because I think, oh, that's too good to be true.
But
sometimes it can be, but sometimes it can't be as well.
Have
I
any of
agree.
your mentor? I agree with you 100%. But have any of your mentors that have been very successful in whatever field they've pursued come to you and said, "All right, Jamie, by next week you're gonna start this, and you're just gonna be a millionaire."
No, not next week. But I'm talking about the broader scheme of things. I
You
think
can
I
shorten
think
the-
we're expanding it into a different, broader topic. I know there are like people out there that claim the dream, which is obviously irrelevant. That's why I'm saying use logic. But what I am saying is that don't get in the mindset of just labeling everything as a scam.
No, of
because
course
many
not.
things are, but you won't get anywhere with that mindset
Yeah.
because you're going to be tunnel visioned into negative and pessimistic thinking.
Yeah.
Where you're going to see all this opportunity, and be like, nah, it's too good to
Nah.
be true. And you know why they say that? It's because in their experience, they've never experienced something greater than that.
Yeah, but
It's-
I think
it's very different thinking.
What you've done there is, and I totally agree 100% with everything you say. Paying to acquire someone's years worth of knowledge is so valuable.
You can fast track your life, yeah.
But you are the kind of person that is willing to go into that with the mindset of, I'm going to put 100 hours into this to make it work.
Correct.
What we're saying is, if you're believing someone's perception that you can do an hour a week worth of work and make tens of thousands a month, and you think that you want to make as much money with the minimum amount of work, then it doesn't happen. Because imagine you had all these mentors and you're paying them, but you didn't actually take on any of their advice. You just said, oh, I want you to do everything for me.
You got to still put the work in.
You have the mindset of like, I'm going to
course.
put in, take on their advice, apply it to my business. And that way, what you say is 100% valuable. Like paying for people's experience is the fastest way to success.
Yeah.
But it's the mindset, and this is the advice.
And we're not saying you
I think
can't
we're
try
saying,
different
yeah.
businesses and everyone fails and tries different things. There's nothing wrong with that. But just spending a couple thousand, trying something, didn't work, next thing, oh, this thing's new, next thing. It's not realistic. And I think
Yeah,
it's
a trap.
It's just a vicious cycle that's not gonna work. But you should
Yeah.
definitely try things. 100% you can find a mentor who can fast track your business success.
100%.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Most valuable
But I
thing.
think that's a little bit different to the just shiny object of, oh, this is new, jump to that. This is new, jump to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give everything time. I think that's what we're trying to say as well. Amongst the mindset stuff and what we've always just said before. Yeah, you definitely need to stick to one thing and really give it time. I made videos for 2 years without getting anywhere, but I said, nah, like I know this is gonna work, and it was partially because I liked it and that I thought I was good at it, so it kind of molded together.
And bro, you've been in the game for over 10 years. Like
Yeah.
you've stuck at the same thing. You
See?
built a business out of it, but you didn't build this in a month. Like you spent 2 years. What did you say? 2 years and didn't make anything?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. You put the reps in, you stuck to it. Like that's not shiny object syndrome.
Of course.
Sorry, before we go on, the craziest thing though about your field of social media, I think is one of the only fields that you can find overnight success, which is crazy. You can actually become a millionaire overnight.
Yeah.
By
Hawk tour.
by going viral.
Bro,
with-
how did
with-
that go? But
with
pissed
going
me off.
viral on one
I think
video,
that was set up.
and you could be the next Charlie D'Amelio, Kabi Lami, Hawk
Yeah.
Tool girl. Like
Yeah.
that is one of the few fields. And again, it is so small percent of chance. Like
Yeah.
how many people are making content and how many people are going viral overnight?
you can't
There's not
optimize
that
that.
many. But yeah, it is one of the fields that you can. But overall, I think it's just important to take time, put in effort, put in the reps.
Of course.
And you will find success, and don't just jump to every new thing that comes up.
yeah, of course,
Awesome.
of course.
So another thing that I guess me and Jamie, and maybe even Bayley to an extent, have experienced throughout the years is social media comparisons.
Oh, yeah, bro.
So, we've all seen people doing well on social media. Someone's got the better car than you, the better house, the better life, the better girl, the better this, better that. But what we've seen being in the industry is a lot of the time it's not real. It's very fake. And you shouldn't, first of all, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people because you'll always be disappointed. You should concentrate on yourself. But social media is so bullshit, right? It is fake. You know, I remember seeing that there was a company on, I think it was in America, and it was literally a private jet company, right? Or it was someone who had a private jet business. And the private jet would not leave the floor. It would stay on the floor. It was like a 747 or something like that. And influencers will come onto the jet and they'll pay for a slot to film content. So whether
That's crazy, bro.
So whether it's like
America
they're showing
would
their
have that.
passport and
That's
putting,
so
their,
American.
putting their feet up and showing that they're in first class.
They get the wine and like
Yeah, I've
They
seen
do
that
it
as
the
well.
whole 9 yards, right?
That's crazy.
So to many people, they'll see that and go, this person is living the life. She's or he is on private jets. Why don't I have that? They're so much better than me. But that's completely fake. And if
Paid
you,
for a 1 hour video
yeah,
slot.
but if you fall into this trap of just always comparing yourself, you're always going to be disappointed.
The other thing
Yeah,
about
that's
that as well is that like you see the person with the Lambo, right? And everyone's seen that one person. But think about how many people have seen that one person that don't actually have that. It's the fact that like people with these fancy objects and these materialistic things get pushed in the algorithm to the point where you start to think as a consumer that everyone has these things and you don't, and you're the only one that doesn't have
Wait,
it.
did you say that there's 10 people sharing one Lambo?
Yeah, so there was another story that I heard recently that there's some guys in America, and this is quite common
I've
as well.
seen this.
That they will literally all chip in to rent a Lambo for say 6 months and finance it, whatever it is, and then they'll all claim that it's their own, and they'll take turns in driving it. just
They
for the
get a
Instagram.
week each.
Yeah.
What?
They get a week each, and they get to drive for a week, do whatever they do, content, whatever, and then they pass it on to the next.
Yeah.
And
so
so none of them own it.
You're left with
Sorry,
this.
before you say that, that's kind of cool. Like, if you're using it to manipulate people for a lifestyle fare, but like, if you got to share a Lambo, I mean, that's kind of smart.
But like the
I
thing
see the
that-
validity in it. If you're just doing it for the fun,
I get it. But my point
Yeah.
is that you start thinking of the mindset that everyone has all these things that I don't, and I'm the only one that hasn't got those things. But
Yeah.
you don't understand that this girl that everyone's seen has like 1 million followers, and she's the only person out of that million that has what she has.
Yeah.
So like you're always comparing like, oh, this guy must be more successful. Oh, this guy's definitely got that, but no one has it.
No one has it.
So you
That's
start thinking of
crazy.
yourself like, oh, I've got to get this now. And there's nothing wrong with aspiring to generate wealth, but it's like the mindset and the connotation of like, I'm a lesser value human because I don't have these things. And I've been hands up, hands on my heart. Like I've been a culprit of this as well.
So
Completely.
I guess to sum it up, don't compare yourself to what you see on social media because no one else has it. It's the 1% that have it, which have probably worked damn hard to get it. The other people don't have it. A lot of people fake it. A lot of people don't actually have the things that you think they have. So stay in your lane, work hard, aspire to
Yeah.
be successful, and eventually you can buy things. But don't make that the goal of your life, just to have that shiny Lambo because someone else has it.
Yeah. The last thing I say on that is this, like, don't necessarily, like, there's two ways of seeing it. You can see it as in like a resenting perspective where you're like, oh, this is obviously like jealous and like BS and all these things, right? A negative connotation. But you can also flip your mindset and be like, you know what? Like, I'm well aware that firstly, materialism doesn't define who I am as a person and my value. And I'm also well aware that these people are a certain percentage of people in the world that have these things, but I still want to aspire to one day be able to afford to have these things. So you can obviously,
I really like that.
Yeah.
you can obviously be like, you know, a jealous, you know, bitter hater about this, or you can use it as inspiration, but make sure if you do use it as inspiration, don't get caught up in the facade of like, I need this to be a high value human.
Yeah, you could almost take it as in like, all right, what has this person done
Exactly.
to facilitate this lifestyle, and what can I learn from them and implement
Yeah.
it in a way that it's going to make me better?
Instead of just comparing yourself that you're less than that person.
Yeah.
Learn from them.
Learn from them. Bro, there's always a positive in everything.
Yeah, that's
I
good,
think
man.
in Australia, we have a very negative connotation to anyone that's successful.
100%.
And it just, you get caught in that mindset. But bro, like, you can have that life if you want.
Yeah, why
you can,
not
You
you?
can achieve whatever you want. But like, don't be like a lower like vibration human and just get bitter at people that have things that you just don't want to, you know, have the action to get or take the action to get. The boys and I are blessed to be partnering up with Getaways, who have some of the most amazing short-term accommodation in the country.
Whatever the occasion, whether it's a cheeky boys trip away or you want to surprise your partner with a holiday, Getaways has got you covered.
And guys, go ahead and check out Getaways on their website or on their social media platforms. We'll be leaving the link in the description below. And without further ado, let's jump straight back into the episode.
Yeah, that's really good advice, bro. I think the perfect transition into the next topic to segue is something we want to talk about is lifestyle inflation. And I think this is something that's very hard, taking into consideration our gambling brains, social media, shiny object syndrome, the way the world operates these days. Lifestyle inflation is so common and it's so hard not to let happen, right?
So hard,
It's
bro.
so hard to live below your means, especially when if you are competing out with other people, you see people who might not have that much or be doing that much, driving a way better car, living in a better place, and you're like, I need to feel worthy, like it's literally signaling success. And it's so hard to humble yourself and be like, nah, I'm gonna hold myself back. So what are your guys' thoughts on how to stop that, or have you been culprits of it?
Jamie?
I'm always a culprit of this.
Yeah.
Always. It's inherent human nature to always want to achieve more, right? So if you have more money, you want to obviously do something with it. And some people do obviously go for the materialism and increasing their lifestyle. And then some also invest in their business. What I think is that I've learned this in the last few years, and this is a little bit controversial, but if you're someone, and this all goes back to mindset, if you're someone that is used to staying in, say, the best hotels, if you're someone that's used to having that nice car, living in that nice apartment, I don't consider that as a lifestyle inflation a bad thing, because what's going to happen is this. You see those videos of millionaire turns homeless and becomes a millionaire in a month. Why? It's not that he won the lotto. He didn't do anything just to attract money by luck. It's because his normality was at such a high place that anything below that is unnormal for him.
Yeah.
So everything that he does, it's like saying, I'm going to start up an agency and I'm going to, try and earn 10K a month. That's my goal. Okay, cool. How do I get 10K? Maybe restaurant owners, maybe cafe owners, maybe, donut stores. They're potentially low-paying clients. Yeah. So you're going to be capped at 10K because of your mindset. Whereas if you said to yourself, my normality is actually 100K a month.
Or a million a month.
Or a million a month. There's no right or wrong answer. You're going to go for higher-paying clients with the same skill set, but you're going to market yourself as more premium. It's all the mindset, bro.
Yeah.
So lifestyle inflation is a blessing and a curse, because if you literally don't have that mindset and the capacity to think like that, yeah, you might blow your money in 1 month. You might accidentally buy too many things where you can't actually invest in your business. However, if you have the mindset where 100K, $1 million a month is your norm, you're going to do whatever the hell it takes to get there for that lifestyle that you're used to.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as a bad thing at all.
I agree. In my life, obviously, I've been quite fortunate to have a blessed life. And so I've been exposed to a great way of life, a good lifestyle. And so for me, having that experience, I've seen a lot. I know what potential there is in the world, and I have a standard of living that I know is very attainable. Whereas, for example, someone who hasn't had that might not know or be exposed to the potential that they can have.
That's right.
So as Jamie said, I know that this is my norm. So I can only do better, which for some people will be shocking. Some people are like, I just want to get to his level of life.
And that's fine as well.
And that's fine as well. But I guess it's just not always a bad thing to be exposed to a good lifestyle and live a certain way. Some people even say fake it till you make it, right? Some people, will go by, like I think it was Steve Harvey who said he went and bought the most expensive suit, or was it the nicest car that he maybe didn't have the money for. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but he said, I wore that suit or the car, whichever one it was, and he goes, I felt like I should be making $1 million.
Exactly.
I felt like I was the man.
Exactly.
Yeah. He made himself feel every single day that he was $1 million man.
Exactly.
And he did become $1 million man, a multi-million-dollar man.
Yeah.
So there definitely is positive, but obviously there's some negatives in that as well. And Bayley, maybe you can touch on, what you think or have heard that are some negatives.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't really fallen trapped to the lifestyle creep too much. I've tried to keep my expenses super low, and I actually, like, my lifestyle I haven't seen like living a super luxurious lifestyle. So I kind of like live a bit more contained, but I know that I can already foresee it coming. Even if, you get a pay rise or you make a bit of money, you think, what can I do with this money?
Yeah.
And I think I've
can I
had to work
spend it?
very, very hard in like limiting myself. And I've always known for like the last 10 years, I'm going to go into business. So in my mindset, that's my goal I'm trying to attain. And I want to keep myself as liquid as possible.
Yeah.
So short term, I haven't been dabbling. I've kept myself super liquid. So I know as soon as I see an opportunity, I want to pounce, which is very soon. I'm liquid and I can go all in on that because that's my bigger vision. So I've actually been, I think, a testament of not falling into the lifestyle trap. I've kept myself super low tier, and I think I want to try and keep building on that habit. And I've seen the fruits of being able to keep super liquid. Any opportunity that comes up, I know I can go into it.
That's mad,
Whereas
yeah.
from the flip side, I know people, like there's a business opportunity that comes up they want to go into, they actually can't pursue that because they've got a big rent to pay, a car finance payment. They have all these things without having the cash flow. To build a big business from scratch with no cash flow, you need to have your expenses at zero or very, very minimal, which is what I'm trying to do. If you're already in that trap, you have a big mortgage, you have a car payment, you have big luxurious lifestyle, it's very, very hard for you to start low and build up.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I've really been aware of and trying to do, and I can see the fruits of pursuing that. So I would recommend, if you don't want to go into business and you just want to go the corporate lifestyle and live that luxurious lifestyle as high as you can, by all means do that.
Yeah.
But I just have a different perception,
Yeah.
long-term play that I'm trying to do.
I think a big culprit of this is athletes. I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking high-level athletes. They get drafted into a certain
Yes, this is
team.
good.
They start making money, more money, right? Every time they make more money, get a new contract, what do? They buy a bigger house, a bigger car. They spend more jewelry, this and that, right? Which is fine. They go, they're buying all this stuff. Now, if they don't have long-term investments or brand deals or companies that they're aligned with, what happens when they get to a certain age, 30 plus, right? Slowly they, get dropped from their team that they're playing for. Then they start getting injuries. They can't play anymore. They turn 35, 40 and they've spent all this money, but they've also got a high level of life that they now expect, right? They're used to this high level of life and suddenly the money's not coming in anymore. How are they going to pay off this $10 million house, all these cars they've bought? They're used to that. That's their life for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah.
Then they're screwed. And then you hear all these celebrities having to sell their houses and going to a normal job, these athletes. So that's another trap that I think people have to be aware of as well.
Yeah.
It's good while the money's coming in, but if you don't have a long-term, I guess, safe net,
Of course.
then it can be quite scary.
That's actually a really good point, and I've got a stat to back that up. I've just asked ChatGPT because I remember hearing this a few years ago.
I love ChatGPT.
So, approximately 78% of former NFL players face financial stress or go broke within 2 years of retirement.
There you go.
Wow.
And these NFL pros are making millions on millions.
Tens, hundreds.
They go broke within 2 years, 78% of them. And that's exactly because of that lifestyle creep.
Yeah.
You're used to spending millions, hanging out with the wealthiest people in the world. All of a sudden, your cash flow goes to zero unless you've bought investments.
no
or you're-
endorsements anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're the greatest who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Bro, 78% go
That's
broke
crazy.
within
That's
2
massive,
years after
massive.
making millions every year.
And I'm sure it's
I
the same
can't
with
believe
social
that.
media. I'm sure it's the same with like influencers,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah,
and
the
Instagram.
brand deals stop coming in.
That is mind blowing.
I think ultimately it's a very fine balancing act between the both, right? You don't want to be small-minded in the sense where you just have your cap at, what's normal in society, unless that's what you want. But then you also don't want to overdo it and blow yourself out of the water. I think it's both a balancing act. I'm just saying that like in Australia, I believe that we're less on the side of success and optimism.
Yeah.
We're more on the side of pessimism and lower risk taking. But I think it's very individual. For me personally, I do have investments. I didn't before, so I've learned from that. But I think that I'm very focused on investing in like the property, in my business as well, and sort of maintaining what I have, but making sure that I can facilitate that longevity because like everything ends, even social media ends. I don't even know how I've been going for 10 years in social media.
Yeah.
Athletes end.
I think what you said is a good way to sum it up. It's very personal.
It's very personal.
It depends on what your goal for life is. Some people are happy to just, cruise with a pretty good lifestyle and not think about the consequences later.
Yeah.
Some people, which I know personally, have lived a very frugal life,
saved everything, lived really, I'm talking really, really below their means. And then they've hit a certain age, say 40, 45, where they've got all this money saved up and now they're living like kings.
That's fine as well.
And that's fine as well.
Yeah.
So it's just whatever suits your lifestyle, your partner, your family, whatever works with you.
Yeah.
There's no judgment.
Yeah,
But
it's very
you know what we've done and what we like. That's
awesome.
just our opinions.
All right, cool. I think we've covered a lot here, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What's one quick tip, quick piece of advice that might help people in their financial journey that you guys had to learn the hard way?
I think to kind of sum up through all those topics, to kind of know how much potential you have, how much money you're making, or what your assets are, whatever you have in the bank, and to be able to only use a portion of that, whether it's gambling, whether it's shiny object, or, whether it's buying things to compare on social media, whatever it is, you only use a portion of that you know that isn't going to affect your long-term play. It's not going to derail you off your business course or whatever it is. You're going to stay on track, and I think everything in moderation. I think having little bits of fun, whether it's gambling, whether buying nice stuff, knowing that it's just a percentage of your income and it's not going to derail you, will keep you on track for what you're trying to do.
Nice.
I would say two things. The first thing is you have to know what your personal goals are. If you just want a simple life, you want a good family, you want a nice house to live in and retire at, 50, 60, know that. Know what number that you want to hit eventually, and then work towards that number. Have a goal, have a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. The second thing I'll say is, honestly, just my advice, don't listen to 99% of people in Australia. I'm being serious because I've lived in America, I've been to Saudi Arabia. We don't understand how big the world is and how much you can actually make in Australia. We have no idea.
Yeah.
If you're getting advice from, mentors that haven't done what the Americans or the Middle Easterns have, they might be good, but you're still capped here. We have a very small-minded syndrome in Australia, and my advice would be just don't listen to people hear about money.
Cool.
Yeah,
Bayley?
So mine would be identify the vehicle that's going to earn you the lifestyle that you want to live. So it's similar to Jamie's, but essentially, like, I knew for a long time that I didn't want to go into property too early. I didn't want to go into going to shares and investments too early. I know that the vehicle that I'm going to earn my capital return is business. And I've identified that from an early age, and I've gone all in on understanding that's the best of my ability so that I know that's my vehicle to success. If I try and learn about property, learn about business, maybe further down the line, but if I spread myself too thin, put, 100K to shares, I want to build a business, I want to figure out how to make money in property, I want to run an Airbnb business, I want to do e-commerce, you're going to be spread too thin. Find the one thing that you know is going to do your research, figure out what's going to get you a return on capital, and go all in on that. So that's what I'm trying to do. And
Awesome.
We'll see what happens.
Cool. Amazing.
All right. Thank you, boys.
All right, boys and girls, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.